What is up, YouTube? This is TQuentin1 coming at you with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about my most anticipated movies of 2017. Now, the reason I decided to do a top 10 list this year instead of a top 5 is not only is 2017 kind of packed with movies I'm excited for, but since I only have 5 months of videos left, this is my only chance to talk about some of these films. Before I start, though, I do have a couple of honorable mentions. Now, these are movies I'm still interested in seeing, but I'm not confident enough that they will be good for me to get truly excited for them. And they are Split, Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Alien Covenant, and Jumanji. So, with that out of the way, let's get into my list, starting with number 10, and that's Power Rangers. Admittedly, this is more of a conceptual thing. I'm excited for this film because I think that the idea of Power Rangers could make a really great, entertaining movie if done right. Notice the if there because even though I am liking the cast of this one, Elizabeth Banks is a great choice for Rita, and I shouldn't have to explain why Bryan Cranston as Zordon is so awesome, but the trailer was so flat to me and the visuals just looked boring. I still do want to see it though, if just because this is such a cool idea for a modern film. Number 9 is Stephen King's It. I bet you didn't expect to see this one on the list. See, I read the book years ago, but the real nostalgia I have for this is because of the original miniseries. Sure, it's campy and not particularly frightening, but there were some really strong elements. The characters were likable, I thought the music was pretty cool, and Tim Curry was just awesome. Granted, this movie probably won't be fun, and that's why I'm excited for it. This movie could be, for this generation, what the miniseries was for me, because I saw it at a young age, and at the time, it really scared the crap out of me. This looks like a different horror film, and that's something we desperately need at this point. Number 8 is Kong Skull Island. The original King Kong is a brilliant movie, but no matter how hard people have tried to emulate it, there's never quite been a film to successfully recapture it. That's why I'm glad this movie, instead of just being a rehash, is instead heading in a totally new direction. One of my all-time favorite types of stories is the Stranger in a Strange Land arc, and that's really the vibe I'm getting from this one. On top of that, the cast looks great. Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, John Goodman, Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson, and of course, Dr. Steve Brule. I also really like the Vietnam War setting. That's just fascinating. And also the fact that this King Kong is going to go up against Godzilla in a future movie, well, it's kind of hard not to get excited for his introduction. Number 7 is Spider-Man Homecoming. The first two Sam Raimi Spider-Man films are, in my opinion, perfect movies. They're fun, they're colorful, but they also have genuine emotion and character development, as well as awesome action scenes. Unfortunately for the web slinger, his cinematic ventures as of late have been kind of blah, to say the least. But with Tom Holland back in the lead role and much more humor and visual flair than the Mark Webb films, this could stand toe to toe with those first two Raimi movies, even though that's a really hard thing to do. Even away from Holland, it's awesome to see Robert Downey Jr. back as Tony Stark. He's always cool, and Michael Keaton as the Vulture just sounds amazing. So long as it's not too sour and self-serious, this could be something really great. Number 6 is Dunkirk. Really, all I need to say for this one is Christopher Nolan. I mean, he's easily one of the best directors working today, and even when he's not at his A game, like with Interstellar, he ends up making one of the top 250 movies on IMDb. This movie feels a lot like Saving Private Ryan, and that's never a bad thing. And it also looks great visually. There's a phenomenal cast here, including Cillian Murphy, Mark Rylance, and Tom Hardy. But at the end of the day, just the idea of Christopher Nolan doing a World War II movie is enough to get me hyped. Number 5, Justice League. It really speaks volumes to how much these characters mean to me that even after Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad, this still made it into my top 5. The Justice League is something I'm really attached to, and I think that maybe, just maybe, Zack Snyder and company have learned from their mistakes. The trailers do look a lot more lighthearted and more colorful, but again, that's just the trailers. I know he can make a good movie. Hell, he made Watchmen, and I even really enjoyed Man of Steel, as I've said many times. And if he can pull this off, this can be a true superhero epic, and that's something we don't see often. At the very least, this is Zack Snyder, and it will look great and have top-notch action scenes, but that doesn't make a good movie, and I really hope this won't be terrible. Number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, I did not go crazy for the first Guardians movie like most people did. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but in my opinion it was vastly overshadowed that year by the awesome Captain America Winter Soldier. But this movie just looks really good. Like the first one, I'm sure the soundtrack will be great, and I actually laughed out loud a couple of times in the trailer, which I don't normally do. On top of that, I'm excited for the expanding roster like Mantis and Ego, and the returning characters like the main four Guardians, Yondu, and Nebula. And also, Kurt Russell is going to be in this movie, which is just awesome. This really looks like the kind of big, fun summer movie that this season was meant for, and I'm pretty pumped for it. Number 3 is War for the Planet of the Apes. Rise of the Planet of the Apes was a really solid movie. It was tightly written, and it pushed the envelope in terms of motion capture animation. And the sequel, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, improved in every single way. So even though the original writers, Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver, aren't coming back for this one, which kind of does suck, I still think this could be a great closing chapter in one of the most surprising franchises in recent memory. Who would have thought a Planet of the Apes reboot could work this well? But it does. On top of that, I'm really excited to see Andy Serkis back as Caesar, and him going head to head with Woody Harrelson is, to say the least, an exciting prospect. I don't know that it will be as good as the last two, as it is a different writer, but I do know that I'm pumped out of my mind for it. Number 2 is Star Wars Episode 8. I mean, this really shouldn't require much of an explanation. It's a new Star Wars movie. Now, I know Force Awakens haters have come out of the woodwork since that film's release, and while, yeah, it borrowed heavily from the original trilogy, I still found it a really entertaining and well done installment that proved to be the perfect shot in the arm that this franchise needed. But I am interested in the idea of it going in a new direction, as Rian Johnson teased. On top of that, Luke plays a bigger role in this one, and that's just really exciting. But I'm also excited to see the new characters return, like Rey, who I just can't wait to see interact with Luke. I mean, he's one of my favorite characters ever, not just in a Star Wars movie. And, it should be pretty obvious why I'm hyped for this movie. I can't wait to see it. It's fucking Star Wars. What more do you want me to say? Number 1, Logan. As I said in a previous video, when the X-Men series is firing on all cylinders, it can be truly great. And that is the best way to describe the feeling I got when watching that trailer. Firing on all cylinders. This could be Hugh Jackman's swan song. See, while you could argue Rogue was the main character of the first movie, in my opinion, it was always Logan's story. So capping his arc could potentially put a lid on the entire saga, and when the continuity is so crazy and hard to understand, that is what we need. Hell, with all the shakeups at Fox, we're probably getting a reboot after this anyway. So, if this can be as good as I'm thinking it's going to be, it could really prove to be the last great X-Men movie before the series is skull-fucked again. It could be a satisfying ending, and that is what this series desperately needs. So, that was my list of my most anticipated movies. If you want to tell me your most anticipated, go ahead and comment below. This is T Quentin1, signing out.